find out that I had COVID, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. What I found with friends is in the beginning, because I actually contracted COVID June 9th. I didn't experience my first symptoms until June 12th, so it's been a little while. But initially, as I shared with people, because I'm super grateful for kind of the route that we took, and I say we because my best friend and I actually contracted it the same day, and we were all together. So we took the naturopathic route. So I've been grateful to share with people kind of what that process has been like. But I'm hoping just to answer the typical questions, because I know a lot of people are interested. I know a lot of people are fearful, and I do believe rightly so. But I just wanted y'all to know kind of my journey through it. Like I said, I contracted it June 9th. A friend was doing kind of this very similar to a 12-step program. I was her mentor. It was this time of confession. We were in a very small room. My best friend was actually with us. We were just listening. We were holding hands, there were tears, and so it's kind of like COVID 101. You don't do that. I thought that she had, this friend, I thought she had been sheltering in place. She is an essential worker, however, and so she hadn't experienced symptoms. Actually, that night, I forgot about this, she said she had a tickle in her throat. She was crying, and she kept clearing her throat because there was a tickle. If you look at anything, that's a very common first symptom. So that was Tuesday. By Wednesday, she had more prominent symptoms, and by Thursday, it felt like a truck had hit her, is what she would say. And so she texted us saying, "I'm so sorry, I'm sick, I've gotten tested, I just wanted to let you know." So initially, when she said that, my best friend and I, we self-isolated and just waited for her results, because we were certain on Friday. So Thursday, my friend called me and said that on Friday, we experienced, my best friend and I, almost at the exact same time, symptoms. My best friend, we think, actually had COVID in February. It went through her house. And so for her, she actually didn't experience the extent of symptoms that I ultimately ended up walking through. And we believe that to be true because of her body actually had some antibodies left. And she started naturopathic remedies about 12 hours before I did. So Friday night, we both start feeling symptoms. We're together. She goes home. I'm house sitting, and she's visiting. She goes home, goes straight to naturopathic remedies. I end up going to Kingsburg and staying the night because I was supposed to work the next morning. And I obviously, that night I had a fever. I had body aches, but not as severe as I've gotten them with the flu. And I don't say that to minimize COVID. I just want you to know what my experience was. I woke up feeling okay, still feeling heavy, and I had a super bad headache and some body aches. And obviously I'm not going to work. And so from that, got my shift covered, and I drove back to Coarsegold. I'm living in Coarsegold and Kingsburg kind of right now. Kingsburg while I work, and Coarsegold over the weekend just to get away. And so I drove back to Coarsegold because I knew my best friend was also sick, and so we were just going to self-isolate together until we found out what our other friend's test results were. She had gone in to get tested. And so the way that my symptoms looked were the first Friday I had probably extreme fever, but again, nothing worse than flus I've had. And then the next morning I woke up and was still not feeling good. Drove myself to Coarse Gold, which is an hour. And then throughout, it's kind of progressed. It's so fascinating how this has mutated to different things. So going the naturopathic route, they use what are called remedies. And each remedy, there's a remedy for each like virus or bacterial thing. And the way my body read throughout this changed several times. And I'll try to explain that if you're unfamiliar. So initially I needed a virus remedy and a pneumonia remedy. So whatever is in those remedies, my body was saying, I need this to fight whatever is attacking my body. And then give it a couple days, we added SARS. My body was saying, okay, I no longer need this virus remedy, I need SARS. Whatever is in this remedy my body needs. We went through 2 virus remedies, a SARS remedy, a pneumonia remedy, a pneumonia meningitis remedy. At one point it was strep, and there was an element of like staph. I don't exactly know what are in these remedies, but they ultimately are used for one thing, but something in it was a part of this COVID virus. And so never has the naturopathic doctor that I was seeing seen something change so frequently and so much. Along with remedies, and fortunately my best friend's sister is a naturopathic doctor who lives and has an office in the same town. So we were 15 minutes from the office. We fortunately got to go and be seen initially the first 2 weeks, probably every day we were going. We were also doing a frequency machine, which simply, if you're not familiar, there's frequencies, each like, I guess I could say like enemy, like a virus or a bacteria, whatever your body is fighting, there are these frequency codes. And you go into a frequency room. Sometimes they have like these pads you set up on your chest and on your feet. But basically, this machine is sending frequency that ultimately is going to like obliterate whatever virus or bacteria or ailment is in your body. And so we did frequencies every day for COVID, and then the mutations of it, like whether it's strep or pneumonia or meningitis, we did that consistently for 2 weeks. I would say the worst symptom day for me was the day 1, where I had a fever, body aches, feeling heavy, like my body just felt heavy. A headache would be the most dominant symptom that I experienced. I typically don't get headaches. I am 3 weeks, almost 4 weeks, like symptom free. However, a headache has been a lingering symptom. Sorry, somebody's mattress just flew out of their car and it's in the middle of the road. So still experiencing headaches, and if you have done any research into COVID, there are what are called long haul symptoms that really, it's kind of like, you have a cough, and there's ultimately, it starts with a cough, like you have a cold, and a cough can be a symptom, and it's really aggressive in the beginning, but it can linger for a long time after you no longer have a cold. I feel like COVID symptoms are very similar. They linger for a long time. I would say that was the biggest hurdle, is the symptoms that just last forever. Flu, you get 2-3 days. Colds, you get 4 or 5. I would say a good solid 2.5 weeks of the normal COVID symptoms that I experienced. And both my friend and I are experiencing like long haul symptoms. I did lose my taste, and that was probably the worst of it. Like, why, Lord, I have zero reason to live if I can't taste food or smell anything. I mean, you've taken my people from me. That was the worst. I didn't taste for a long time. Again, my best friend experienced symptoms but in a shorter period. So she lost her taste. A day and a half later, she got her taste back. I then lost my taste. 5 days later, I got my taste back. So she was kind of ahead of me in the symptoms just because her body was working through them quicker. And again, I think that's because she probably had antibodies from February. What other questions do people ask? I'm grateful that the people that I were around in the time where I didn't have symptoms, which were 2 other people, they got tested. One got tested and one just self-isolated, and they didn't contract it. I'm grateful to the Lord that my parents didn't. Anytime, even all of this, even through all this, because I know you can be asymptomatic, I've been very, very diligent in the way I interact with my parents. And so not to compromise anything, but even still, that was a hard 2 weeks holding my breath, hoping that both of them, that symptoms don't surface. And so I'm grateful they have remained healthy. I would absolutely recommend the naturopathic route just because I feel like there's not much else. Also, we immediately started taking supplements. So what you've probably read is you have to build your immune system. I was taking, and I can send you all pictures if you want, most of the stuff that we were taking you can buy online. I was taking an immune supplement, I was taking vitamin D, I was obviously taking zinc, I was taking vitamin C, I was taking a respiratory support supplement that supported my lungs. I never really felt it in my lungs. The interesting thing, and maybe you've also seen this, is, and fortunately I was able to slow my brain down. It felt hard to breathe, but never once could I not take a full breath. Oh, sorry, I talk with my hands and I drive with my knees. I'm gonna put all of your hearts at rest and drive with both hands. I was always able to take a full breath, and so many physicians or the medical field is recommending you get one of those oximeters that you put on your fingers, because that will then tell your brain you can breathe and not to freak out. Because from what I hear or understand is people feel short of breath. It just is a little harder to breathe, but immediately they get anxiety, and that is just a snowball. And so having one of those is beneficial. When you don't feel like you can breathe, it tells your brain okay, you're getting oxygen, you're fine, you just need to kind of labor through it. I got one of those a little too late. My chest and breathing symptoms were very short and not a frequent thing. At times I felt like I needed to cough things up, but it wasn't, I didn't experience that end of COVID very much at all. Again, one of the things that I've read is this thing mutates, which is exactly what we saw, as we saw different remedies being needed by my body. My best friend is also the same way. It's fascinating how this thing, one of the mental pictures that I shared with Heather, the armor doctor, and my best friend is it's like the Terminator. And do you guys remember, the Terminator can take on any body form and look just like it, but ultimately it's still the Terminator. And I feel like COVID is very much like that. It takes on SARS, it takes on meningitis, it takes on pneumonia, but it's still COVID. And so in learning that, trying to get to the root and not neglect that it is in fact a virus, a mutating virus. I did watch, and maybe it's more shared now, but Western medicine, it was a clip of a doctor using budesonide, which is a nebulizer. They use it in a nebulizer inhaler, a antibiotic for pneumonia, and then high doses of zinc. In that article, or in that video, tells you where you can go for his trial patients, and in that article you can see exactly what he was giving people, and from that interview he's had 0 deaths from COVID. He even has treated COPD patients. It didn't seem like he offered the article to anybody. He didn't, like, there was no, through the interviewee, like, he wasn't even a center of it. He's like, I will let anybody see this. And so what I've told people is, I don't know how many physicians are doing it, but it's definitely a interview that's worth seeing, I think. So if you guys have any questions, this video is 15 minutes long, and that's horribly long, but I am doing well. I am still actually seeing the naturopathic. I can't test, so even though I'm 3 weeks, you know how like the flu works, where you're like in the beginning you have mild symptoms, and then there's kind of this like core of symptoms, and then this, you know, you progressively symptoms progressively like become more minimal. I feel like I have been symptom free, even though I still have like this headache, this stuff going on in my head. I feel like I've been symptom free for almost 4 weeks now, and I still cannot test negative. I'm still testing positive. I've taken 6 tests. 6? Yes, I've taken 6 tests now. I'm waiting on 2 results. In order for me to go back to work, and I've felt fine, which is unfortunate. It's like the worst vacation ever, because no one wants to play with you. I can't, my work requires 2 negatives, and I can't get 1 negative. And so, in all of the negatives, they'll say, okay, self-isolate for 10 days, and then you can go about your days. Well, which tells, you know, they don't know anything about this virus. They know very little. And so the minute I get another positive, they're like, okay, self-isolate for 10 days. And I was like, well, had I just gone by my symptoms and not needed to get negative, I could have been working at any other job, because paperwork says self-isolate from 10 days and you can go about your life. All of my paperwork has said that. But because I keep having to test, because in order to go back to work, I have to get a negative, these tests keep coming back positive. So I just want to go back to work. I just want to live my life. I think the hardest part for me has been the isolation and the feeling like a leper. And I don't blame anybody. I don't, there's no like ill feelings towards anybody or friends who have stayed away. That has just been the hardest part for me. And being away from my family, not having them near, that has sucked and still continues to suck, because I don't feel it would honor people if I said that I was negative when I'm clearly testing positive, and I would never want to compromise that. And so it's an interesting thing, though. Do I think I'm contagious? No. No other virus or sickness or cold, even if there are symptoms, is contagious at this point. But it's not I'm not going to chance that. I'm not a doctor. So, that is the journey. If you want supplements that we took, or you have any other questions, you can send me a Facebook message. I don't mind. You can text me. You can ask all the questions you want. I think it's been super interesting to experience it, and I'm grateful in it that I've been allowed. Several people, now you're hearing more cases, is becoming more personal, but getting to love on people who are scared or who feel isolated, and getting to be with them in that is a gift. And I don't want people to feel alone, and so I think being able to see the fruit of what I've experienced is kind of neat, because it is spreading. And so that's all. Oh, under 20 minutes. You're welcome.